In the last video, we explained how to add feeds to your content type. In this video, we're going to show you how to add more feeds to this particular content type that we are talking about, the ebook content type. Let's get started. From where we stopped in the last video, we're going to go back to structure. Then from structure, we'll go back to content types, and then on the content type, you can simply click on manage feeds. Now, to manage your feed, what it means is that you can add more and more feeds. You can change their settings. You can also delete some feeds if you don't need them anymore. Now, in this case of ours, we are adding ebook to our content type. Now, more feeds that are needed to be added are the author, the let me say maybe the publisher's name. Now, in this case, we call it publisher's name, so that this field is only accepting the name of the publisher of that ebook. Now, and all we need to get done is to put this as a text feed, and text feed. Okay, so we do this as we did in our first video, or the earlier video. Save. Then this is also going to be compulsory, and then we are okay with the default settings. So let's save this. Okay, so by saving this, we now have a new feed called the publisher's name. Now let's add the publisher's address. The publisher's address. Now because by default an address is normally longer than the name, so we wouldn't want to use the text feed as we did earlier. So what we need to do now is to change the feed type to long text, so that this will accept a number of characters that are more than the text feed. Now let's save this. Let's save this and see. Okay, so take your time to read through all of these and save the settings. Now we don't want the publisher's address to be compulsory, so you might add the publisher's name, and then if you know the address of the publisher, good, add it. If you don't know it, then you may leave the feed. So that is why we don't want it to be compulsory, we don't want it to be a required feed. Now let's save this particular feed. Now after saving this, let's go back to the content we created earlier, which is this particular content, and then let's edit it to see. Okay, now we have my ebook, which is the title, the author of the book, now the publisher's name. Let's say the publisher's name is Rebound Media. Now, and let's say the address, publisher address, that is the address of the publisher of the ebook we are about to add. Say an address in Nigeria. Good. So that's all that our content type requires. Let's save that and see how it looks like. Good. We have added the author feed, the publisher's name, then the publisher's address. Now there is one more feed that is very important. That is the feed for the file itself. Because if you are adding an ebook to a website, you need to provide that file, so that when people click on that file, they can simply download that particular file. So how do you add a file to your new content type? It's as simple as we've been doing. Now let's click on manage feeds, and from manage feeds we can type in that the ebook file. Good, ebook file. Then because what this particular feed is asking of us is the file itself. The file can be an audio file, it can be a text file. If it's a file, it can be a text file, it can be document, it can be PDF. So all these files that we know. Now let's click on save, and then what are we going to have? This by default, you are okay with this. By default, you are okay with the setting. So this is compulsory. Of course, this should be compulsory because we want users to add that particular file. That means if the file is not there, they shouldn't add any content to our website. Now, allowed file extensions. This is very, very important. In fact, this is the most important feed in this section because if a user tries to add a file with the extension PDF, it won't accept it because the only allowed file at the moment is txt, that is files that are having their extension as txt. To add more extension files of different extension, all we need to do is to put a space here and type in the extension. We know that some files have the extension of doc, or some have docx, some have .pdf, and we also have xlsx, that is the excel file, is always ending in this extension. So if you know of some other files too, you can always add them here. Now, in in furthermore, I want to put all the files that are being added to our website. I want to categorize all of them in a particular folder. So I'm going to call that folder ebook folder. One of the beauty of Drupal is that it allows you to create folders dynamically so that things will not be jam-packed, so that you can simply have a nice structure for your website or web application. Also, we have this maximum upload file. If you don't want your users to add more than 1 MB size of file based on the size of your website, we can restrict the size to a particular size here. Now, in this case, I'm going to put in 2 MB. The implication of this is that if a user tries to upload a file that is larger than 2 MB, the system will reject it. So all you need to do here is just to type in the specific size of the file you want. However, if a user tries to upload a file that is lesser than 2 MB, the system will gracefully accept it. But if you don't add anything to this feed will use the default, which is basically 128 MB. For my own system, yours might be different. Now let's go ahead with 2 MB and save these settings. Now that's cool. Let's go back to our content, that is the main content we created earlier, and let's edit it so that we can add. Now we have the ebook file, which allows us to click on it and select ebook from our system. Now I'm going to look for an ebook for my system. Let me choose this. Okay, Peter Decker essay, which is a PDF file, and then you click on upload. If you click on upload, you have uploaded the file, and the size of the file is 96.27 kilobytes, and that's all. So we click on save. After saving this, we now have the file in our contents. We have the author name, the publisher's name, the publisher address, and the ebook itself. So whenever anybody clicks on this ebook, this link, the file will be downloaded to their system or their phone. That's interesting thing about content types. You can add as many as possible feeds. So before the next video, you are required to add more feeds. For example, you want to add a number of pages that your ebook has. So go ahead to add another feed called number of pages. You can also add some other feeds that you think it is necessary to follow up an ebook content type. In the next video, we show you some other interesting things about how to change the display of these elements that we have here. As it's not good, it's not too fine. So like we have the author at the top, we have the name of the author below it, we have the label here, we have the value below it. Supposing you want to put a value in front of it, how do you go about it? We'll show you all of this in the next video.